All right, looks like we're live. Looks like we got 8 people coming in already. Perfect. Get this conversation started. So I planned this live meeting just to kind of update everybody where L3i is at on mainly the Stinger project, but a few other projects we got going on as well that are all kind of running in tandem, kind of build off of the Stinger project. And I know there's probably a lot of questions that people have had. It's like we dropped from 8 down to 3, so I don't know. Maybe not entertaining enough right off the get go. Central Arkansas PRS. Good evening, everyone. Awesome. I believe that's Chris. How's it going, Chris? Matt Gaines jumping up on there. How's it going, Matt? So, kind of just start off here. The Stinger barreled actions. We've already started offering Founders Edition barreled actions to some of the people that were on our waiting list that we released some weeks back. There's going to be 100 of the initial Founders Edition barreled actions. They're going to come with a Stinger mag. If you're in California, it's going to have a 10 round follower in it. So it'll be our premium billet magazine. And yes, it does include trigger pins. We've had a few people ask us about trigger pins. It'll be our 24-inch barrel, similar to our CZ drop-in barrels, made from the same blank. It's 1.18-inch diameter. This one does not have the scope base on it. It will come with the scope base. Those are in transit now as we speak from anodizing. All DLC coated. Very smooth action. Pinned base, 840 screws, so very solid base. Pinned recoil lug on it as well. Has a steel bolt handle. Tool steel. Bolt body, so there's no wear or deformation you'll see on the lugs. All DLC coated body. Has the extractor tensioner in the bolt, so you can close it on a single fed round without any issue at all. So this is one of the first to run off the line. Just waiting on the scope base on it right now. Looks like we're up to 10 people now in the chat, so that's good. So with that, we're now going to start offering a tuner that is cut to fit on the 1.18-inch barrel. And it uses 2 clamping screws here. It just clamps to the target crown non-threaded barrel. And it has a pretty good sized barrel, enough weight to actually change the harmonics of this thicker, bigger barrel. So you can tune your loads. You can tune, different velocity ammos to shoot consistently well together. You could tune for certain conditions, whatever you want. Bench rest, it's kind of a popular process to use the tuners. So we actually worked with a company, Precision Quest Products. They sell the whole shot products, so the 2500X action and tuners. So whole shot Precision Quest Products is making these, and we're having them cut them specifically to the diameter of the barrels we offer. And so you'll be able to buy those direct through us, or you could also reach out to them and have them cut to any diameter barrel you want as well. So it's a proven product. It's been on the market. It's made by some really prominent bench rest shooters who understand what it takes to achieve the highest levels of accuracy in rimfire game. Love my L3i 457 barrel. Thank you, Walter. We appreciate it. No, it will not be the same black barrel as a CZ prefits, Steven. Threaded barrel. Nope, it's not threaded. What's up, fellow Team Apex member? What's up, Chris? Fist bump. Good seeing you here on the chat. So, timeline wise, we're going to open this up to everybody to start purchasing these barreled actions. We'll have 100 of the Founders Editions that'll be available. Come Monday, it'll be on the website. If you were on the original Google form sign up wait list, you've probably already received an email. If you haven't, look in your spam box or trash to see if the email was inadvertently marked as spam. It'll contain a link to purchase to have initial opportunity to purchase a Founders Edition barreled action. Currently, I think there was 85 people on that form, and we've had about 19 of them come through and claim them. So there's still quite a few of these left. They'll go up Monday, and we're thinking we're going to start shipping in September. And we put an 8-week lead time on them just to give ourselves enough opportunity to get everything assembled, marked on the books, acquire the FFLs, shipped out. Because on top of that, we've been doing a lot of shipping magazines going in and out the door and other products. We just received the newer Stinger mags, the second run of those. We shaved about 4 ounces off of the overall weight of the magazine. We updated the laser markings on them just a little bit. Just some feedback we've gotten from shooters. So April was busy all day packaging up lots and lots of back ordered Stinger magazines. So between that and also the move to our new facility, it's going to create some delays. So it's kind of the perfect storm where we're getting everything we need to start shipping these Stinger barreled actions out, but we're also got a lot going on in the background on top of that. So we haven't publicly announced yet, but I guess I just did now that we're going to be moving into a new facility. It's about 4 or 5 miles from my current lovely garage that we've been operating out of that was converted into a business. So our square footage is going to quadruple. So we're going to have enough space to bring a lot more manufacturing processes in, expand on our quality control operations and our custom services for L3i. So it's a wonderful time to start growing the business, but it's going to also take a lot of effort on our part to get the new building set up and all the equipment moved over and all the processes put back in place. So that's kind of the reasoning for the time frame for the quoted delivery times on the Stinger barreled actions. The weight savings on the Stinger mags are amazing. I love them even more now. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I overestimated how much people would dislike the amount of weight that the original version had. Some people love it and some people don't. It's kind of a mixed bag. And so I figure if we shave enough down to where it's not too cumbersome for some people, but it still has enough weight that the people who wanted the weight are still happy, we kind of find the happy medium. It's all about just responding to the market and giving the people what they want. So I think it was a good compromise. It didn't change the functionality of the magazines whatsoever. It just removed some material from the inside of the magazine. So I can kind of show you guys here. This is the original Stinger body, and if you take the two halves off, it's like solid in there. And if I get the new version of this, take this magazine out, pull it apart here real quick. It's kind of tight. Maybe I won't. This thing is tight. Ugh. It's got two dowel pins that hold both halves together and locate the magazine very precisely. Those dowel pins have a tight slip fit. So I got it apart here, and you can see that they now have these pockets milled on the inside, and that's kind of how we achieve the weight savings versus the solid bodies before. Ordered mine as soon as the email hit my inbox. Can't wait to get it. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate your faith and support of the business. These are going to be very nice. I've been running one for a while now, doing a lot of testing. Jeremiah ran one for quite a while. We wanted to get a lot of rounds. We got thousands and thousands of rounds through them before it ever, went to a paying customer. So we wanted to really vet these things out and make sure they're going to run smooth. Texas 22 Jack, what type of oil do you use for your forehead? That's just natural extruded oil from my skin. We got a lot of lights in here, and when you're bald long enough, it just starts to kind of gloss over naturally, I believe. Any plans to remake your guys' polymer mags in the future? That's a question that I have an answer for. I don't know if we're ready to quite answer that question yet, though. But expect something exciting in the near future. Uh, in that space. Our original Polymer mags are great mags, and we don't plan on discontinuing those. And I think they're going to be definitely a good option for the entry level offering for magazines in the market, where we kind of have our premium Stinger mags. You know that they command quite a price. That it takes a lot to manufacture those billet magazines. They're kind of pricey, but I think there's some middle ground in the market as well, where you can have a lightweight polymer magazine that has a lot of premium features in it that kind of just follow more of the the design features of this magazine, but in a lighter weight, more affordable package. And that's kind of some areas we've been looking at and been developing some ideas in. And uh, uh, I got something in the works. I've been That's a prototype that came off our SLS. There's been some testing, so the mold is in the design phase potentially. So we'll see what comes of that project. I said I wasn't going to answer it, but then I kind of answered it. So you heard it here. Jeremiah in April's gonna be mad. That he uses that old school Afro shine. That Caucasia shine, actually. What do we have else in the chat here? Can the new actions extract an unfired round reliably? Sorry if you already mentioned that. Alrighty. So let me get around here. No trigger in the action, just for all the safety RO type guys out there. So verify there's no trigger in the action. Put a round in here. All right, let me see if I can't get this on camera. Yep, it'll fire an unfired round, no problem. So full disclosure, the first extractors I made would not. And so I went back to the drawing board, and that's why my fingers are kind of dirty right now, because I've been taking all these extractors and I've been hand polishing them on a stone all day, just because I want the surface finish to be to the level of my liking. We had them manufactured, and the tooling marks were just a little too much on them, so I polished all of them by hand. Spent hours and hours and hours doing that. So it's all about the attention to detail when you're buying a custom level firearm, and I think that stuff matters. But yeah, we definitely wanted to get really good extraction on these actions, and I wasn't going to rest at night until I did. So you can see here, it's super tiny. I don't even know if I'll be able to get it on camera, but I have a very highly polished the plunger. You can't really focus in on it, but yeah, I have a stainless steel high polished plunger. I custom made my own springs that have the proper tension. I did all the math to calculate the tension of the springs. Yeah, that's 5,000 extractor springs in that bag right there. It's a couple $1,000 in that little bag just in springs. I ordered that big order, and I ordered 10,000 springs between the extractor springs and then the bolt stop springs, and it comes in this little box, and I'm like, I spent thousands of dollars and they're all in this little box. But when the springs are that small, I guess it adds up quick. But springs tend to be fairly cheap when you buy them in large quantities, and so that's kind of the reason why I ordered 5,000. So I'll be able to build quite a few actions before I have to order more of those springs again. But yeah, I got them tuned in, dialed in just right, and so we got fantastic extraction on those right now. Looking forward to them. Reason I asked was because I run a Manners TCS Max now, and the Stinger mag makes it just a tad too rear heavy. Yeah, I run centerfire rifles in Manners TCSs for many, I wouldn't say many years, a couple years, and that's why I competed in France in the World Championship. And that was prior to the TCS Max, before they put the brass weight in the forend. Uh, and 30 a loaded 308 magazine weighs more than the Stinger magazine did, and I was able to balance the TCS with that. So if you want to keep the weight of the rifle down with the TCS, and you don't want to run like a heavier Arca rail or other weights on it, or you want to run a shorter barrel, then yeah, it could potentially throw off the weight balance a little bit. But I mean that the moment arm between the balance point of your bag and where the mag rests is so short that the increased weight has very little effect because it's so close to the center of gravity. As you move the weight further out, like towards the butt stock of the rifle, it has a more dramatic effect. So having 3 extra ounces at the magazine is it's like having like half an ounce on the butt stock. So you got to kind of look at where it is in relation. Yeah, I have a 22-inch barrel. It's short. Yep. I also have a short barrel. If you ask April, but 24 inches, 22 inches, 24 inches. That's probably the sweet spot for rimfire. If you get a heavy enough contour, I think you find good balance. So there's a lot of guys I think that are in your situation, and that's kind of why I shaved off the weight. Uh, there's a lot of guys running, smaller profiles and shorter barrels and stocks that may not, necessarily shift the weight as well as some others. I think the TCX Max, they definitely made a huge improvement over the original TCS I had ran, and it shifts the weight a lot better, tremendously better. It's a great option. So hopefully the new Stinger Mags doesn't throw your balance off too much, and hopefully we come out with something here in the not so distant future that'll even throw it off less. So awesome. Thanks for showing that. Looking forward to them. Okay. I think I'm caught up on all of that. I don't know if there's any questions on the tuner stuff yet or not. On the updated Stinger mags, these are now in stock. I think we have 85 of them I put on the website this afternoon. I don't know how many of those are left. Probably a good amount. I can take a look real quick. Yeah, website's going really slow. I apologize for that. I think we got about 80 of them left right now at the time. So they'll ship out very fast now if you want Stinger mags before Nationals. Are the tuners on the website yet? Yes, the tuners are on the website. We have them at the $200 price point, which matches the retail pricing that Precision Quest Products is also selling them for. We also have them available when you order a CZ barrel as an add-on. So we now have drop downs with the CZ barrel, so you can get it with or without the tuner. And then also we have drop downs on the CZ barrel where you can now get it with different surface finishes for the barrel. So you can get the raw stainless, which is, this finish here. You can get the bead blasted, which gives you like a matte stainless finish. And now you can get a black Cerakote finish as well with the CZ barrel. That was some functionality. I worked on the website yesterday. It took me a little while to figure out. Now they are on the website for sure. What else was I going to say in regards to that? Kind of drawing a blank here. Something to do with the tuners I was thinking about addressing. Yeah, so they're on the website now. We have inventory on their way, so they should ship out very, very shortly. I think we got an ETA of a week on them. For the tuner, what is your personal process for finding that correct tune? I use the Hopewell method, I believe it was called. Easy process to keep track of. So I'm kind of in infancy stage of using this tuner. I'm building a bench rest rifle right now, where I find the tuner's more applicable is more in that bench rest pursuit for the ultimate level of accuracy. I'm kind of the persuasion that there's a certain level of accuracy that's required for PRS, NRL, rimfire. NRL 22 or PRS rimfire use, where if you have a gun that shoots, less than 0.5, You could probably win any match you need to. Ideally, you want to shoot, 0.3s, 0.4s, but or minimum. I think you got a rifle that shoots in that area, you're going to do really well. You don't really need to have anything beyond that, as long as it can hold that level of accuracy from the start of a match to the end of a match. So I think there is an application where tuners can be beneficial in the PRS and NRL disciplines, especially at times of like the spring and fall where you see a big temperature differential from the morning to the later in the day, from what I understand. Uh, you what A method I had heard about is you take a slow lot of ammo and you take a fast lot of ammo. The slow lot of ammo will represent what your competition ammo shoots like in the morning when it's colder, and then the fast lot of ammo will replicate what it shoots like in the afternoon when it's hotter. And you just switch back and forth between both ammo, and you keep tuning it until you get the same point of impact for both speeds of ammunition. And you want to have ammo that's the same bullet. If it's rifle match, you want a slow lot of rifle match and a fast lot of rifle match, and then you tune both speeds to where they have the same point of impact, and then that'll keep you tuned throughout the temperature swing throughout the day. That's kind of the process that I'm looking at replicating for PRS NRL competition. For bench rest, I'm looking for a process that's going to net me the smallest possible group size at that moment in time that I'm shooting a bench rest target. So there's different trains of thoughts for different uses, different type of competitions with tuners. I did see that Jonathan Elrod from Modicam had ran one last week and took home some hardware, and I think Eric Leipold's running one of these big bore tuners and did really well with it as well. So definitely some big names in the industry, some great shooters that are seeing some advantages to this product, and L3i is proud to be able to offer it for our barrels as well. And so looking forward to getting the feedback from customers. I know that there's a lot of people that's kind of a split amongst the community about, the effectiveness or the utility of this device. I'm not going to say one way or the other because I want to have a lot of empirical data. But I'm proud to be able to offer it to those who want to go out and pave that way and get that empirical data. I do believe that there's a lot of empirical data from the bench rest community that shows that these things do work and that they can be utilized to get performance increases. Just by looking at the top bench rest shooters, they're all running these, so it probably there's something to it. Yeah, for sure. For the tuner, what is your personal? Okay, I've already read that one. I think I'm caught up to date on the comments there. Anything else I want to go over for far as the L3i stuff? I want to kind of go over some specs for the Stinger, just so you got to get an idea of how it's put together. Ryan Drinkjourn, yeah, just to go to a bench rest match, and you're right, all the top guys are using a tuner. Some are even using mid-barrel tuners. Yeah, I saw the mid-barrel tuners that were available as well, and that's got me kind of intrigued. So bench rest is kind of where they go to kind of push the limits of the technology and what's capable with rimfire rifles. And so we really need to be looking to that crowd because they're doing a lot of the R&D research for us on the more of the tactical application side, which is PRS NRL. We're taking precision rifles and we're applying them to these scenarios that you might encounter in a more of a tactical real world type of situation, shooting from various situations. But taking that R&D where they figured out how to extract as much precision they can out of the rifle and applying it to our rifles will gain us some advantages in the sport we play as well. And so that was kind of my thoughts of bringing these to market. I don't have a ton of time behind them, so I don't want to give you necessarily bad information on them either. So my thought is, if you want to try one out, grab one. Look up some different methods. As he was mentioned, the Hopewell method. Go to a bench rest match. Meet some new people. Talk to them. Ask them what their thoughts are on it. Learn from them. I think us venturing over from the NRL PRS side into bench rest could definitely have a lot of advantages. We can learn a lot from them, and maybe they'll learn a little bit from us. And we can just reinforce the sport across a broader spectrum. So I've been doing a lot to try and reach out to that community and make sure that we keep those lines of communications open. I think there's a lot of shared interest there, and I like to use the term, a rising tide lifts all boats. I heard Shannon Kay say that a few times at some PRS matches, and it kind of stuck with me because it really is true. And so, jumping in on uh, Rimfire Central and different BR forums and stuff, you can learn a lot there. Will the new action be made? Will the new action make me win matches? Um, no. Will it allow you to win matches? Yes. It will be capable of the accuracy and the functionality needed to win a match. It won't necessarily make you win a match because you got to do your part. You got to dial it in, get good dope, break perfect shots, make good win calls. Will it help me beat Leon? Yeah, definitely it will. 100%. I get beat with my own products all the time. I'm too busy here on the computer working on the products and not out there actually getting good with them. So this is my worst season in rimfire and center fire I've ever had. Just kind of been tanking, but it's to be expected. I've put more hours in sitting at the computer desk than I have at the bench, and so it shows in my performance. But hey, I got invited to the finale, so I'll still get to go embarrass myself at the national level. Ricky Bobby Dale, are you selling the tuners individually or with the barrel only? We're selling them both, individually and with the barrel. Chance Hunter, definitely need to get you out on the range more. Yeah, I agree with Chance. I need some stress relief. Need to get on the range more. Hopefully, when I get the new shop all set up, more square footage, we can bring in some more employees, do a lot of what I'm doing, and then I can go out in the field more and do more in the field R&D, more shooting as what it really is. I like to tell the tax guys that it's R&D. It is R&D, but it's a lot of fun. So I like getting out there and shooting and competing and meeting people. So I got a match planned in Georgia. I want to go out and shoot an NRL X match that Johnny Sprinkle's hosting out there in Georgia. So I want to get to meet some people on the East Coast and broaden my horizons and meet more of the people out there across the country that are running our products, and I'm excited to do that. Seth Gardner, all matches are business expenses, definitely 100%. I'm about to have some more business expenses if you keep posting those barrel racks. I deal with a lot of barrels and we have to keep those things organized. And I saw those and I'm like, oh, I need like 50 of those. What are those torque specs on these tuners, and are they going to mark up a barrel? I was talking to Jerry Stiller on these, and he said that you need a very light amount of torque. I'd probably run your fix-it stick kit, probably the 15-inch or 20-inch pound torque limiter. If you torque them too tight, you can actually feel it when you slug the barrel through the muzzle crown where it's torqued onto. So you don't need very much torque at all on these, just enough to keep it from rotating. And what I would do is I'd torque it on the barrel, and I'd run a paint pin across it and then the barrel, and that way you can just have a witness mark to see if it ever rotates. So once you find your tuner setting, there's these 3 set screws around this knurled section with nylon tip set screws that just lock it down and keep it from twisting. It has a detent too. It takes a lot of effort to twist, but it has these marks, and then it also has these marks here, so it's kind of set up, like a micrometer. And so each click is a thousandths that you're moving it out. And so it's got a lot of thousandths in there. I can't remember. I think it's like 500 thousandths total travel. Are you going to the Rattler X match here in GA, Leon? Yes, that's where I'm going. The Rattler X match. I will be there. So, just as a background to what led to that, my brother lived in Florida and he just took a job in Savannah, Georgia. And my nephews were really twisting my arm to come out and visit them in Georgia. So, I found the closest match I could to Savannah and booked it. So, I'm excited to get out there and and shoot with some new people. And I'm going to be shooting more NRL X this next season. I've never shot NRL X far as like a points chase wise. I've shot a couple X matches, but never actually went for points. This year I'm going to try to go for points and attend the NRL finale. That way I can meet more of the guys who just shoot NRL rather than just PRS. I've mainly shot the PRS Rimfire as I'm a director for the PRS Rimfire Midwest region, so I've just kind of concentrated on what I was kind of overseeing. But I definitely want to bridge the gap and meet more people and kind of spread the word. Awesome, Chris. I'll see you there as well. Looking forward to it. Me and April will both be there. I think I've convinced April to also shoot it, so should be pretty fun. All matches are business. Yeah, I've read that one. What barrel size will be available? So for this tuner, the barrel size will be 1.18 inch, which is what our CZ barrel diameter is, our Stinger barrel diameter, and the barrel blanks that we offer for sale on our website are all 1.18 straight taper barrels. No taper, straight contour barrels. If you want a different size, go to Precision Quest Products, find their big bore tuner, and Dan Killo, he'll machine it the exact diameter you want for your barrel, up to 1.25 inch barrel. So if you got a different diameter barrel, just go straight to him. He'll get you all set up. You, it's a fun match. Good switching winds out there. Oh man, I thought Georgia was supposed to be calm and easy out east. I don't want switching winds. No, that makes things very interesting. I shot in a lot of switching winds this weekend. Chris says definitely going to need to get April out to more matches. Definitely. I'm trying to convince her to shoot the PRS finale. I might have her convinced, not 100% sure yet. She has to answer by tonight because, yeah, that's the deadline I put on her. So she was supposed to be in the next live stream, but she's cooking dinner right now, and she's kind of a little irritated. I planned this during dinner time, so at least if you're in the Midwest, it's the middle of dinner time. I was getting back to the Stinger barreled action. So this will have a non-adjustable cocking piece, so you don't have to worry about any adjustments getting off, any set screws coming loose, anything's moving on you. We tune the firing system and the timing to work really well with Bix and Andy and Trigger Tech triggers. So it's going to have pretty neutral timing with both of those trigger options. The protrusion is going to be good for Ely and Lapua ammo. We're going to set the headspace somewhere between 43 and 45 thousandths on all the actions. I've been playing a lot with headspace, and I've found that there's a little bit. I think some people might take issue with what I'm going to say, but I think there's a bit of a misconception in the rimfire community, mainly in the NRL and PRS side of the community, that really tight headspace is a good thing. And I've kind of been talking to a lot of people in the bench rest world that think that really tight headspace is a bad thing. Because when you close on that round and you get that stiffness, you're putting the action in a bind. And when you release that trigger, it kind of, that bind makes things jump a bit. And so you can get some minute shift in your reticle and get some deviation in your group size due to that really extremely tight headspace. So I think there's a lot of bench rest rifles that are being built with more headspace than the PRS NRL 22 rifles are currently. So we can definitely accommodate different headspaces that people want. So the way we're going to vary the headspace in our action is through the lug. So we're having lugs made with different thicknesses. So they're going to come in 0.204, 0.205, 0.206, and 0.207. And the lug thickness we put in there will determine the headspace. So if you get one of these actions in and say it's got 44,000 and you're convinced that 43,000 is going to win 10 more matches a year for you, you can just get the one size lug down, spin off the barrel, put the different lug on, spin the barrel back on. Now you're at the 43,000th headspace that you thought you needed. They're a pre-fit barrel, so the way it works is, let me see if I got a part here I can show you. I think I've showed it in previous live streams. Don't got one handy. But basically, we have a two-piece tenon where the barrel has a cone that comes up, like you've seen cone breeches, and then we have a second piece that slides down over the cone, fills it in, and that second piece has the extractor and tensioner cuts, and also has two protrusions that go into the raceways of the action. So if you look in here, you can kind of see that protrusion. That the extractor and tensioner cut you see is in that secondary piece that fits over the cone breech. By looking at it, it's hard to tell that there's even a cone breech underneath there. It just looks like a normal barrel because it protects the edges of that cone from getting deformed or damaged. Where if you have just strictly a cone breech, you could potentially see some deformation or damage if you end up running too tight a headspace and run the bolt nose into it, or you have too much deviation of the bolt in the action and you really wedge the extractor into the edge of that cone face. None of that's the case. We've ran these actions for thousands of rounds. We're not seeing any abnormal wear on the edge of our breech, our chamber going in on the breech. So definitely something different. It allows you to spin up pre-fit barrels from a gunsmith. He can just cut it to our dimensions that we publish for the tenon, and then that cone will slide right into your piece, and the timing won't matter because it's a cone. There's no extraction cuts to worry about lining up, so we don't have to have these big pie cut extraction cuts. We can have the same extraction cuts because it lives in that spacer piece. And that's kind of the difference we did with our action versus what's already been on the market, because we've had some people make comments, like, well, what's it really different from like a 90-degree Gen 1 Voodoo, or a 40X that's just been converted to feed from a magazine. The biggest difference is in how we did this barrel system for the action. And then we made this cut fit our magazines fairly tightly, and we located it to where it gives the proper timing from the magazine to the breech. And so there's also this little hole here in between your trigger hanger threaded hole and then your ejector hole. This hole here is a tooling hole, but there might be a product coming out in the near future that interfaces with that will also provide some functionality for this action system that hasn't really been seen on the market. And that kind of alludes back to the project that I said I wasn't going to mention earlier, but I did mention. But it'll be fun. It'll definitely be fun. I look forward to expanding on that in the future. Looks like we're up to 30 viewers on the live stream, so we're definitely getting more viewership than we did on Facebook. So I think I'll probably continue doing this on YouTube moving forward in the future. If anybody has any other questions about the action, let me think of anything I can talk about per se. So we will be offering this in a complete rifle system at some point with our Hive chassis. So we are currently in the works of getting enough inventory of the barreled actions and the chassis simultaneously to do that. We can only do so many a year before the ATF. I don't know necessarily the ATF that taxes us. I think it's some other part of the government, but there's an excise tax if you make more than 50 firearms a year, a 10% excise tax. So we may just offer a certain run of them per year, but it's going to be complete L3i rifle, the barrel, the action, the chassis, the trigger. And so potentially it could qualify for the IPRF championships is kind of the hopes of it. How much of the chamber is in the wedge piece versus the barrel? The entire chamber is in the cone portion of the wedge. And so there's a small thin lip that's at that breech face that the spacer meets up to. So if you look at the end of inside the action, you'll see a small ring inside that spacer, and that's the edge of that cone. So the entire chamber is in that portion of the barrel. But the spacer that comes around it is holding that thinner edge of that cone. So even if you did strike it with a firing pin, that would keep it from deforming too much. And so we have struck them with firing pins, and the deformation was so minimal it didn't cause any extraction issue or anything. That was before we updated our bolt shroud to catch the cocking piece to prevent the firing pin from going too far forward. So what arrests the forward movement of the fire control system is the shelf inside the bolt shroud, which is true to the 40X design. And so that makes it dry fire safe. I can dry fire that action without damaging the breech face of the barrel. Ryan, what trigger would come with a complete gun? That is a good question, and that is still what's kind of holding up the complete rifle package right now. Uh, I've got a few ideas. I got a few design ideas. I got to find the manufacturer that's going to make those ideas a reality. So the big thing with the IPRF qualifications is that everything has to be proprietary to one manufacturer. So I need a proprietary trigger, whether I work with an existing trigger company or I just have it made myself. Whatever I end up going with has to be just a unique SKU and a unique product that's only available from me. L3i making trigger next. That's definitely it's going to come, but it's definitely not near term. So don't ask me where trigger is. I don't want to be the next Brandon Herrera, where every time I see somebody, it's like where AK-50, where L3i trigger. No, I don't want that for sure, but it's something that is a goal for the project. We started out with the action. Well, we started out with the magazine. Then we got the action, then it's barreled action, then it's chassis. Well, now it's complete rifle. We're going to have a complete rifle system where everything we make is meant to function within that rifle system and give you the least amount of issues and errors possible, because we can control everything from start to finish in one ecosystem. Manufacturing a product that gets used in a lot of other products that are aftermarket is incredibly difficult. I spoke to Mike Bush a little bit on this subject, where his original Voodoo magazine was made to the Accuracy International specifications, but as more and more aftermarket chassis came onto the market, those specifications from Accuracy International weren't just publicly disseminated. So there was a lot of reverse engineering that was done to bring all these different chassis onto the market, and the dimensions varied. Depending on the person who reverse engineered it and produced it. And so as you get this variation in the way you constrain that magazine into the system, where it interfaces from the functional datums and the size of those datums and the location of those datums in relation to other features, so there's a tolerance loop that you have to follow from the action. The action, the kind of the main datum is that front of the recoil lug that the barrel touches against. The recoil lug has a certain thickness, and it has that surface there that interfaces to the abutment in the chassis. And then the dimension from the magwell to the abutment in the chassis matters. And if that is off, then you're locating the magazine relative to the action different. And then the breech face inside that action is located back to that surface that the barrel meets up against. So you got this tolerance loop it flows through. And so as you vary the location of that magazine and the size of that magazine well, you can have different issues. And do you blame the magazine? Well, it's not really necessarily the magazine's problem. Do you blame the chassis? Well, the chassis was designed for what they designed it for. It may have been designed for a centerfire rifle with this type of magazine and this action. And what they designed it for, it worked really well. But once you do this other aftermarket configuration with this type of rimfire action and this type of rimfire magazine, you got a different problem. And so that's kind of what led us to, adding the adjustability into the magazines to try and eliminate the variation in the market. The ultimate best solution you could have is just standardization within the market, where everybody's working to a set standard. And so when you see with AR-15s, there's a technical data package that is provided to the military, and it's mil specs, and it's like these dimensions, this locations, these datums, and everybody makes AR-15 parts, makes them to the technical data package. And so you buy all these different aftermarket AR-15 parts, and they usually almost 99% all go together and work pretty well together. In the bolt gun world, there's no technical data package that controls that, and so it's just a wild west. And so it's really difficult for manufacturers. And so I bear with us as the market moves forward. I think as we communicate amongst the different manufacturers and we find a way to standardize, we can alleviate a lot of these problems. Going back to the chat. Any guess on when the pre-order for Stinger is going live? Got some money, would like to spend on one. So yeah, Monday we're opening up the pre-order to the general public. We opened it up to everybody who signed up for our Google form a little early, because we promised if you sign up for this waitlist form, you'll have first stab at it. We sent out emails to those 85 individuals that were on that form. Only 19 of them so far has come through and purchased one, so we still have plenty left. That will go available Monday on the website. I'll be getting back from Vegas. I have to talk to April, the exact time that'll go live Monday, but we'll publish it, I'm sure, right after this broadcast, because April will kill me if you start emailing asking her. So please don't do that. I will email me, message me, text me, whatever it takes if I haven't published it, and bug me, not her, because she will kill me if you bug her. But she's the one making the decision. I just got to get it from her. Let me see if there's anything. What's special about the Founders Edition? The Founders Edition is basically that $1,750 price point that we've been working towards on it. That was going to be what we sell the Founders. The initial 100 units, the Founders Edition, will be at that $1,750 price point. We've had a lot of changes and a lot of cost overruns and upgrades that we've made to the action. Originally, we were shooting for $1,500, and then it was $1,750. Now it's not really even feasible for the $1,750, so I think there's going to be a bit of a price adjustment after the initial barreled actions go out. So everybody that's been waiting on them and eager to get them, this initial release, we're going to get them to them at that price point, and then we're going to kind of reevaluate the pricing point after that point. But everybody's willing to take a risk and buy a product that hasn't been on the market yet. They're going to get that better price point for buying it up front and putting faith in L3i. I signed up through the website, not the right spot for early notification. So the website is the notification for when it goes live on the website. The early thing that was done through the Google Forms was separate. But if you message me, I can get you the link. Since you're already signed up on the website. Anybody that's already signed up for notifications on the website, just let me know. I'll get you the link. Try and get a shot on it before Monday if you want to as well. I want to honor that as well. People kept asking us. So the website had a watch list, but there was no chronological order. We don't know when you signed up for the watch list, so we couldn't tell who was kind of really getting in line first. And a lot of people are like, "Well, I want to get in line. I'm committing to it." So we came out with the Google form to actually give us a chronological order to offer these things to people. And yeah, it is a mess. If I ever do this again in the future, I'm going to have a much better way of doing this. You don't know what you don't know until you don't know it, until you do know it, really. But yeah, definitely, if you're already on the watch list, just reach out to me. I'll get you the link. We can move forward from there. What's the best way to contact me? You can email me, leon@l3idesignsolutions.com. You can message me through Facebook. The email's probably better. I work from an email queue better than I work from a messenger link. You can text my cell phone number if you have that. It's the same number that's published on, if you Google L3i's phone number, which I tried to keep off the internet, but it got on there anyways. People call me all the time. So I full disclosure, I have to tell this to people quite often because some people they tune in different times, but I work a day job, typically 6:30 a.m. till about 3:30 to 4 p.m. So when I'm during that time period, I'm 100% devoted to doing my day job. 4 p.m. beyond, it's when I'm doing L3i. So if you do find my phone number online and you want to call me, the only thing I ask is just do it after I get off work. Many times I don't. Depending on what I'm doing at work, can't even have a cell phone on me at certain points of time during the day. So even if you did call me, I wouldn't be able to answer. And if I am able to answer, I'm on company time, and I don't have the bandwidth to actually talk to you. If you do choose that method, I do highly suggest, email's the best way. And we are a small company. We have 3 part-time people. And we do have, a lot of orders, a lot of volume, a lot of questions. So it may take 1, 2, 3, 4 days sometimes to get back to you. Text messages, I get tons of them. I get tons of Facebook Messenger messages a day, so I don't always get to those very quickly either. Just a little bit of patience goes a long way when we're in this growing pain. Right now, it's kind of painful. We have long lead times, out of stock items, slow communication sometimes. And I understand that's not the best for customer service. It's kind of just a hand we're dealt right now in this phase of our business as we move from infancy to getting larger, acquiring a facility, acquiring employees, me quitting my day job, going full time at some point to further support that. Right now, we're in that awkward adolescent phase, and it just makes for some uneasy situations sometimes where people just aren't necessarily as patient as they need to be to deal with a company that's in our current growth growth portion of our life cycle. How you want to explain that? It's word vomit, I think, right now. uh, yeah, so definitely, I kind of went on at ends about that, but uh, so the assembly portion of this project is already gone. We got 100 actions that have been DLC coded. I think I got like 75 bolts that have the fire control systems in them. I'm currently polishing by hand every single extractor. I'm dropping those off at heat treat this week. They'll be out of heat treat within a week or two, and then those will start going into the bolts. The scope bases should show up by the end of the week. Those will start going on to the actions. We have different size lugs that are on the way, so we only have certain size lugs right now. So only certain actions are being headspace where we want them to be. So as we get all this stuff in place, we'll have we built 200 actions to begin with. We got 215 barrels on the shelf right now. We have 200 of every part. Uh, for the most part, some of them not. There are a few parts we don't have all 200 of them in hand right now, so that's why the initial release was 100 of them. Because I'm confident we can get the 100 out in that 8-week lead time that currently shows on that pre-order page that many of you have probably seen by now. Yep. The other 100 are going to DLC within the next week or two. So those will be in process. After the 200 are gone, we're going through another manufacturing cycle. We've already got the POs placed for the action bodies for the next 200 action bodies to try and get that cycle time down. And then it'll just be a continuing manufacturing cycle from that point forward. The goal is to keep them, to where you can always have a barreled action within an 8-week period. Because I think what the market really needs is a semi-custom barrel action that any guy can get within an 8-week period. Because right now, I mean, you can buy a super nice Bagara Heavy, or you can buy an MTR and you can get it pretty quick. Sometimes they're out of stock and you got to wait a little bit, but usually never more than a month or two, and you get your hands on one. And then if you want a full-on custom, then it's usually 6 months to a year. So there's that big gap, between the really nice factory rifles and then getting a like custom rifle. And we want to be like 95, 99% of that custom rifle. We want to get you in that time frame that, most guys want to get. Because, you finally get, $2,000 in your pocket. You want a really nice competition rifle, but you don't want to wait a year because it may took you a year to save that $2,000 up, and so I mean that's 2 years before you get what you really want, and so that's not what I think some people are after. So we're just trying to serve a section of the market that really hasn't been served yet. Just got my barrel on my CZ, shoots great with what I've tried. Love how my rifle balances now. Thanks. Thank you, Stefan. And the big project with that CZ barrel was we were already in the phase of making the Stinger barreled action a reality, but we needed barrels and we needed to test barrels and we needed to get. We knew if the Stinger barreled action was going to be successful, that customers would have to have confidence that the barrels that came on them were going to shoot at the level they needed to shoot. So we made the CZ barrels in order to prove to the market that the barrels we were going to offer on the Stinger barreled actions could hold their own against anybody. And I think we've proven that. We've had, multiple perfect cards shot in ARA using these barrels. We've had many, many, many rimfire matches won with these barrels, many, many podiums beyond just the wins. Guys that are posting up, just amazing groups. One of my team shooters took one of our barrel blanks and spun it up for his voodoo, and he shot a 15 round group that was .187. I mean, these barrels shoot fantastic, and so we feel we got a product that can compete very well, and that that the market's going to have confidence in, and that CZ project was kind of the cornerstone to making that happen. And we wanted to serve the CZ market because there's a lot of guys out there that start with the CZ and they really love it and it functions amazing. And we wanted to take that platform and then bring it all the way up to where you could get a CZ in an open configuration with a long, heavy barrel that balances properly and gives you everything you need to win any match in the country. I think that's where we got. And in a time frame and a cost and a price point that most guys can afford, because it existed before we came about with that barrel. I mean, you could get a drop-in Modicam, that's just as heavy, same dimensions pretty much. A little more of a lead time sometimes not. Is a little higher price point, but then again, you're getting a custom chambered by hand by an artisan gunsmith. What you're getting from us is a barrel that is CNC chambered on a very accurate, highly expensive, very dialed in machine, but it's not the same product. It's not really apples to apples in the comparison, but you can get that performance that guys are looking for. But doing the process with the automation, the robot arms and the CNC machines and all that, allows us to get that level of quality of barrel and start with that high quality blank and turn it out into a finished barrel that can drop into your action with the tolerances necessary for a price point that more people can afford. And so that was kind of where we went with that. I actually got mine from Midwest Gunworks because y'all were out of stock. Oh, nice. We love Midwest Gunworks. They're not too far from us. They're one of our biggest dealers. Great guys. I always love catching up with them at SHOT Show. Just an amazing dealer we've had for us, and they've really done a great job, getting some exposure to our products. And so, anytime you don't see anything in stock on our website, definitely hit up Midwest Gunworks and see if they have it in stock as well. And if it's something they don't carry, let them know. Hey, I'm interested in this product from L3i. I see you guys don't carry it, and who knows, maybe they'll put an order in, and that'll help me out. I went through the contact us on the L3i website. Will you get that email about the Stinger action? So it depends on what you drop down for the subject line, who it'll go to. So it'll either go to April or Marcus. So Marcus is a guy that we have working with us. He's a former CZ gunsmith. He worked for CZ USA for many years. He knows CZs up and down. He's kind of a contractor for us as we grow and we get a shop. At some point, he may be a full-time employee, but right now we contract a lot of our technical service questions to Marcus Sisper, and he's an amazing gunsmith. He went to a great gunsmithing school. I think he's out of Colorado and worked for CZ USA for many years. So very talented guy, very knowledgeable. But if it goes to him, he'll forward it on to me and we'll get you the information you need for sure. Will you offer an action wrench for the Stinger? Yes, we will offer an action wrench for the Stinger. I'm currently using a generic Remington 700 action wrench because the lugway dimensions they match, the original 740X lugway dimensions, and so you just take the action wrench, you just stop short back here instead of trying to go all the way to the front. And so I just, put the action wrench to the back of the action and then just take it off there. So if you got a regular 700 action wrench, it'll work. But yeah, we'll definitely offer a specific action wrench for this action, and then we'll offer a specific bore guide also for this action as well. Now those are in the works. We just wanted to get the action out first because we do know that there are action wrenches on the market that you can use to take them apart and put them back together. We wanted the action wrench out before we sold bare actions. That's another topic, bare actions. We're not 100% sure on how we're going to offer bare actions, but we are going to offer bare actions to some gunsmiths that we have already identified. We're going to, work with them closely on the barrel tenons, making sure they have the right spacers available to them, lugs they need to set headspace that they can include with, possibly pre-fit barrels. If they want to barrel the action without our spacer system with a traditionally cut barrel, they can also do that as well. But we're going to have to make a special spacer that still interfaces with that barrel tenon, because that spacer has the two fingers that go in the lugways that hold our bolt nose concentric to the bore. And so that feature needs to be present even with a traditionally cut barrel, because our action does not have the feature that was in the original Voodoo actions, where they press in an additional portion of the action to eliminate the lugways. Ours is built like the original 40X that does have the lugways that run all the way through. And that spacer that goes on the front of the barrel is what we use in lieu of what the original Voodoo V22 action used, which they eventually got away from. But yeah, our actions aren't made that way. Our actions are made in the traditional 40X style. So that will be necessary. We'll work with the gunsmiths to make sure that's available. They have all the information, the parts necessary to where that we can go forward with that. With the bare actions, I don't know if we'll sell bare actions direct to public or not. It kind of just depends on a lot of different factors we have to look into. Uh, Selling a bare action to the public, and then they source a pre-fit and they put it together. We want to make sure we kind of see what pre-fits kind of come onto the market and how they interface before we start just giving it to the public, because pre-fits that don't necessarily tolerance stack with the actions very well could potentially lead to issues. The issues may not get blamed on the pre-fits, it might get blamed on the action, which hurts the reputation of the action in the market. So we're just being kind of cautious about that. Not that I'm saying, there's going to be bad companies out there making bad barrels for them from the get-go, but you never know. I've seen it happen in the past. Usually the companies that make bad barrels usually don't last too long, but end up going out of business because the market, decides who's successful and who doesn't, but it takes time. And it's like, with the original Voodoo magazine, it got blamed for a lot of malfunctions that weren't necessarily attributed to the magazine. It was more a symptom of the variation of the chassis and stuff that was it was being used in, being designed for a different purpose for centerfire magazines that have different tolerance windows that are acceptable. When you're feeding a bottleneck cartridge, you can make things a little different, a little looser, and a little here and a little there with no functional problem. You're within the windows, the tolerance windows for great functionality. When you put a rimfire magazine in there, all bets are off. And those chassis weren't originally designed for that. So it's not necessarily on the chassis manufacturer, and it's not on the original magazine manufacturer. It's just we as a market try to mix and match parts and find combinations that we like that weren't intended to ever go together. So it's when you say Remington 700 compatible, take that with a grain of salt. Because the standards are, definitely. Yeah. So we're going to, try to do better at documenting compatibility moving forward and updating and getting more guidance to our customers. But as a smaller company with limited bandwidth, it's hard for us to create that documentation and get it out to everyone. That's definitely something we've taken as an action item at L3i to work on and move forward with, is Just bringing that level of customer service up to get people the information they need to make informed decisions about compatibility, adjustability, how to get it to work right, how to diagnose issues, and just kind of bear with us in the early phases. Oh, that's a call. I can't take right now, but I gotta find the phone to mute it. But yeah, definitely. Will you offer an insurance? Okay, I answered that. It went to your wife. Okay, April got it taken care of. I will hear about it later from her. This is fine. Should be fine. But definitely, I think I'm going to wrap up this live stream, go eat some dinner that April made for me. And guys have any questions, just reach out to me. As I specified earlier in the live stream, Leon at L3i Design Solutions is the direct way to get to me, the best way to get to me. Secondary avenues is direct messages. If you direct message me through Instagram, it might take 6 months to a year before I get back to you because I never check that. If you direct message me through Facebook, it may be 10 minutes. It might be 3 weeks. I just depends on my life and what's going on. My mom's currently in the hospital. I'm moving my business to another shop. I'm releasing some of the biggest products I've ever released. And I'm working probably 50 hours a week at my day job. So life is busy right now and my bandwidth is very short. So I apologize if I don't get back to you as fast as I would like, but I will get back to you at some point in time. And if I don't, I apologize in advance. Just touch back base with remind me again. Do give me some time before you remind me though, because it can take a couple business days. It's just a point of clarity, but I plan on doing some more of these live streams and touching up and uh, catching up and touching base with you guys and just keeping you guys informed. But yeah, thank you guys for attending and keep your face on the rifle, make impacts, and do good. Thanks.